See it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money and whatever else bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way that music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of the new. Oh, na 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 na.
Hey, everybody.
Good evening, everybody at AstroWorld.
Hey,
What's going on? Hey, we got me, Eric, Jason here tonight, and it is Wednesday night, so it is AstroWorld night. And we do have a special guest tonight. We know him from VisibleDark or VisibleDark.ca, and Shawn Neilsen is here with us from VisibleDark. So welcome, Shawn.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks,
How you
guys.
doing? Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
doing
Love to have
doing
you.
good.
Yeah, everything's doing good up in the North Country, I guess.
Up in Canada, yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
things are moving along and not in the right direction, especially with COVID. But we're uh,
Mhm.
we're trying to hold our own.
It's a good
yeah,
excuse to stay home and
Absolutely.
image.
that's
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
yeah. If there was clear skies, all we have is clouds, so that doesn't really work too well.
yeah. I mean, I got lucky. I got some clear skies the past couple nights on Long Island, and doing some work on the California, the Crescent, and Andromeda. We're doing all those three. So,
Awesome.
so
That's
um,
great.
yeah,
How's it? Is
yeah.
it going good?
So far so good. I do have about, I want to say about 11 hours already on the California Nebula, and I'm going for some more. I'm going for some more now. I like, I just, it's there and it's in a perfect spot in the sky for me. So I just, go for it and let it run for another 7 hours
So,
tonight. So what is that?
so what are you doing? Are you doing HA now, or you
I'm
doing
doing
you
all
doing more
three.
HA or
I'm
O three? Okay,
doing all three: HAO3, S2.
okay,
Do more, do about, I think I'm going to get about 3 hours or 2.5 hours of each tonight.
okay.
And as long as it doesn't
What kind
cloud
of
up,
filters do you have? What filters do you
for
have?
the narrowband, I have
Yeah.
the Optolongs.
Okay. Are they
Yeah.
parafocal, or do you
Like, for the most part,
are
they're
those
parfocal. I mean, they're a
Yeah.
little bit off. They're not perfect like the Astrodon's LRGB.
Hmm.
Those are pretty dead on. I mean, I have the LRGB Astrodons, and that I don't even need to do an offset on them, and they're just great. But I still focus with them anyway, because I'm kind of
Sure,
kind of
sure.
crazy like that. But the Optolongs, I got the 7HA and the 6.5s on the O3 and the S2. So
Okay.
um, they've been great. I mean, for what it was. I mean, so far. So I mean, you've seen my Pelican Nebula. I mean, it's come out great. So I mean, that's been
Yeah.
really good. Buddy,
Yeah, you've done a
Ron
good job
Breacher.
with that.
Yeah, well, I can't take all the credit. Ron Breacher helped me out quite a bit with the processing on that one.
Go
And
ahead, take all the credit. Just make
all right,
Ron's
I'll
head
take all the
bigger.
credit.
It's already big enough.
I mean, I spent 30 hours gathering data on it, so I mean, I guess that's that's enough. But
Yeah.
he's done a great job helping me out and teaching me and stuff like that. But and not to mention the stuff that you have going on your, I purchased the beginner Pix Insight
The
tutorial for
beginner's
$12. So
tutorial, yeah.
yeah, and we're looking forward
It
to
was
the
a big
next one.
investment. Yeah. Well,
12
I'm
bucks,
working on the.
$1
Yeah.
a month, $1 a month, and I'm telling you,
You had to save
you
up
will
for
get
that
back
one.
to that every month. So
You know,
Well, I wanted to make it accessible for everybody, right? So I didn't want to price it really high. The idea was just to sort of cover some costs and stuff like that associated with putting
yeah,
it together and keep it accessible to everybody. So it actually had a really good response too. I was really happy with the response that it got, and a lot of good feedback from it as well. People that buying and using it, and so that was good. That was nice to know.
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
And
I mean, I went through
correct
the
me if
whole
I'm
thing. It's
wrong.
about
Didn't you? Correct me
Was
if
that
I'm wrong,
Eric?
Sean. Didn't you have a milestone that you just reached in YouTube not too long ago?
Yeah,
yeah.
I just hit 6,000 subscribers, which is really cool. That's awesome. I'm actually going beyond that now, headed into towards the 7,000 slowly. But yeah, it's been a good process. It's been an interesting process. I started this almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years ago, January, that I started doing the YouTube channel, and
Mhm.
the goal behind it was to give back and to help others. learn image processing and also talk about astrophotography and that, because my background, I had a lot of help when I was learning it, when I was starting out. So it was an interesting way to give back. I just had to get past being shy on camera, standing out in the spotlight like that. So it's not easy to do, but I was well received, and people are subscribing on a regular basis, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from the channel. So I'm quite thrilled with it.
Well, that's good because I know I myself, of course, I'm a subscriber. I know Dan, you're a subscriber. I mean, I think all of us here are subscribers.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'll be one of the first people here on the show to say that I really appreciate what you've done, with the channel and with the tutorials with Pix Insight. Because for me, I have always done APP or Photoshop, but with
Right.
your help and with Ron Breachers, with Masters of Pix Insight, and in your tutorials, it's gotten me out of that nervousness of the learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's helped me out a lot. So so for me, I would say
Yeah.
thank you very much for those tutorials.
Well, yeah, you're quite welcome. Thank you for saying that, the kind words. There's a lot of good resources out there for Pix Insight, and I like to think that everybody that is working hard to make those resources available, that it helps people, and everyone can sort of come together and give that support to people learning Pix Insight in particular, because it's pretty daunting. It's when you first open it up, all the wording, it's crazy wording, technical jargon that doesn't make a lot of sense, and it can be challenging to navigate. So it's great that there's a lot of different people out there that are doing resources, tutorials, and helping everyone to learn and grow with it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
think that's an awesome thing also because, I think that's another reason why we all got it together as well at AstroWorld. Again, it's more about helping other people not hit the bumps that we hit. And no matter what, if the bumps are the same, it's from a different aspect. So it's kind of interesting
Yeah.
that you may hit the same problem that I have, but I may be coming at it from another angle. And you're coming at, and somehow together we kind of get over those humps together. And
Yep,
it helps
absolutely.
the process, and
Yeah.
it is a process.
Well, and much like what you and I were talking about on our test call earlier, Shawn, was
Mhm.
you got to start in this when you were just barely starting to do actual imaging, digital imaging. So the amount of steps and things that you've had to go through, and the growth, that I haven't gone through because I started within the last 2 years on this stuff. So learning from everybody and all these YouTube channels, because I spend most of my life on the University of YouTube. It's amazing how much resource, not just in Astro, but all around, is available out there.
Yeah, there is a lot of good information that's available on YouTube, and it's what, the second largest search engine on the planet is what they say.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's
Second
pretty
only to
impressive.
Google.
But yeah. Back when I got into astrophotography, I started in 2008 seriously with it, and it was a lot of this computer control telescopes, and the software was in its infancy. It was just emerging, and it's just over the course of the last 12 years the technology within the hobby has really changed and grown, and we've got some really incredible stuff happening. And I'm just blown away by the amount of interest that there is in the hobby. It seems to be getting larger and larger. More and more people that are starting to get into astrophotography, and I'm not sure if that's due to COVID, that the recent spike in it, but certainly over the years I've seen a lot more people getting involved in it, and that's fantastic. It's great to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that. It has, I would say, it has maybe a little bit had to do, maybe not a little bit. I would say 50% has to do with COVID. You can't get out or
A
anything
lot
like
of it
that.
does, and from being
Yeah.
on the retail side a little bit on the, because I do work over at Camera Concepts one day a week for my one day I'm off, and seeing the spike in astrophotography, even visual too. Visual stuff. People are buying a whole bunch of Dobbs and everything. But you know what? It's amazing that the business has spiked so much. I mean, we can't even hold ZWO cameras in the store anymore because as soon as they come in, they're out.
Yeah. Everything's out of stock everywhere. Everything's back ordered. It's crazy. Hard to get telescopes and cameras and whatnot. Yeah, our local telescope store, they just had rows and rows of telescopes, Dobsonian 8 inches, 10-inch scopes that were just already sold, and they came in the door and they went out just as fast, just filling orders. Absolutely, just mind blowing.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
I think a lot of people are having an appreciation, now because they can't do anything else. You can't go to the movies. You can't go to the restaurants. You can't do this. But you know what? And there's fewer people driving. So we are starting. So you've seen that drop in light pollution. It's probably picked up a little bit again, but when we really had the big spikes, we started a big drop in pollution and everything, and skies were clearer. At least they seemed a lot clearer than what they were in the past. And people have just started getting, I think, more interested because they're saying, well, what else can we do? Well, how can we spend our time with our family? What can we do for family? What can we do for family time? What are some of the things that are interesting? And then all of a sudden, they look up at the sky and they say, hey, let's go get a telescope.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. I mean, if there's one good thing that's come out of this whole ordeal that we've gone in as a world is that, and it's not only the U.S. and Canada and Mexico either. It's not only North America. I mean, people are buying scopes from all over the world and getting into this stuff, and it's just amazing. It really is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And let me ask you this, Shawn. Do you mostly image from your backyard, or do you also have maybe a favorite dark site that you go to as well?
When I started in 2008, I actually was going to a dark site. So I would load everything up and drive about an hour and then unload and set everything up and basically sit outside until 5 a.m. and, pack it all up and go home kind of thing. And I did that for a number of years, actually, probably about 4, 5, 6 years I did that. And then I got, I don't know if I got lazy or lazier, but definitely something changed, and I decided to start shooting more from home because I could set up faster and everything was ready to go. For the most part, I could just wheel it out into the driveway and start, imaging. So I started doing that, and it was a lot more difficult because there's a lot more light pollution. It wasn't like being at the dark site, that's for sure. But I was still able to do narrow band and stuff, and I did some, I did broadband imaging as well, and I just sort of worked through it. That was the when I was out in the driveway, and I had a street light to contend with, and porch lights from neighbors and stuff like that. So I would put up shields and stuff to try and minimize the impact that the stray light would have, and then I could basically be a little more comfortable. Coffee was a lot more accessible and hot instead of being not accessible, and it worked out. It worked out great. And then I ended up actually doing a lot of the imaging. I ended up moving everything to the backyard because a neighbor across the street from me actually put in a new light that would shine across onto my property, onto my driveway. And that was sort of the final straw with all the lights that were out front. So I went to the back. The reason I didn't really initially go to the backyard is because I got a 70-foot trees, a green space in the backyard. So it cuts off about half of my sky. And so it wasn't really conducive. But given the situation I was experienced in the front with the lights, it made more sense to go to the back of the house where it was dark and sort of give up part of the sky, but be able to continue to image and whatnot. And then I invested in a pier and, bolted it down to some concrete and set everything up. And now it's sort of what I call a semi-permanent setup where it resides outside 24/7, and it's covered up. I don't have an observatory because I can't fit an observatory properly. It just wouldn't work with the trees and everything. So basically, this just sits outside. It's covered up, and I can uncover it and turn everything on and go inside and basically start imaging. And I can get a lot of imaging done, a lot more imaging done than when I went to dark sites, and it's worked out quite well. It's not as good as being at a dark site, but it's certainly a lot more comfortable, especially when you can let things run overnight and you go to bed, and you don't have to stay up watching it, and sleep in your car or something like that. I did that many times. Would sleep in the car at the dark site for a while and get up and then, it's 5 a.m. and you got to drive home. It's like, wow, that's just crazy. So it's worked out really nice having everything set up in the backyard.
Good. Yeah, I think
what border are you?
It depends what direction I'm shooting. It could be a Bortle 6. It could be Bortle 8. If I'm pointed obviously towards the city core, it's a Bortle 8. If I'm pointed away from it, which is more over rural area, it's a Bortle 6 for the most part, which is not bad given the size of the city and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah.
What border are you in?
I'm in Bortle 5. So
okay, so you're doing good. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like in a suburban, and there's a lot of farmed land around here as well. So
that's good.
So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm suburban too. I'm right on the outside edge of it. What's that?
Okay.
I'm above the chart, so I mean I'm like Bortle 11 on Long Island. So
yeah.
They don't even have a Bortle 11 on the scale.
There is now.
It's Vegas.
It's just
right over his house.
You literally look at a light pollution map, and Long Island is just like a blanket of snow. It's just white. That's it. The whole island is it's not even there. But that's why I'm kind of stuck on narrowband for the most part. I'm still playing around with some broadband. I got some okay broadband results because I am running a CCD camera, so I mean I get a little help with that. But mostly I do a lot of narrowband. From where I'm not. I can't. I did the same thing you did, Shawn. I drove an hour and a half, and I would set up. I would get there at like 4. I'd set up hour and a half, whatever. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, drive an hour and a half home, and it's just, enough is enough.
It takes it out of you real fast, that's for sure. Yeah, it's pretty grueling to do it that way, but it was fun too. What's that?
Oh yeah, you lose a lot of imaging time when you're doing that too, because you limit.
Yeah,
you can only do it on weekends or when you're not working. And then, inevitably weekend comes and it's all clouded over.
Or lose a lot of sleep is what I did.
I was lucky in the sense that I'm self-employed, so I could sort of set my schedule, sort of coordinate things that I didn't have to worry about what was going on the next morning. So I could stay out late and whatnot. Yeah, so that was nice to be able to do that. I mean, it wasn't that it worked out all the time, but a lot of times if there was a clear night coming, I would make sure that the next morning I wasn't booked for anything, and or if I was, I'd just call the customer and just say that I need to reschedule stuff and rescheduled it. So because the astrophotography came first.
I'm telling you, it's awesome.
What do you think is more important? Is it me or this astrophotography?
Don't make me answer that.
Don't make me answer that.
We did have a question from Salman asking about, Shawn, what do you think about the most recent changes to Nina and their latest build?
That's interesting. Yeah. So Nina came out with version 1.11, which it was a nightly build, which are basically alphas. And they're really in heavy development at that stage. They made some changes with it that were big changes. Even the developer Stefan said that they were, it was a fairly big change. Most notably, they added in a new sequencer to it. which they refer to as sequencer 2. And it was initially, my initial knee-jerk reaction to it was confusing. It seemed confusing and difficult to use, but I stuck with it a bit longer and tried to figure it out. And I was on the Discord channel, their Discord channel, for where they do a lot of talk with support and whatnot, and people asking questions. So I was reading what people were asking questions about, and asking my own questions and whatnot. And I gave it some more time. I gave it a few more clear nights and tried to understand it better. And it is actually really powerful now that I've got a grasp on it. And it's the new features that they're adding into it is really phenomenal. I mean, the program is just growing by leaps and bounds. And they've the new nightly builds for version 1.11 are just fantastic in a lot of the new features that they've added. Particularly for me, adding the ability to start a sequence at a particular time, have it count down to that start time was really important, and also having it being able to tell it when to end that imaging sequence and move over to a new target in the middle of the night. That was really important. They've added that in, but they've added in a lot of other features too in terms of controlling the hardware and automating things. So I really like it. The short answer to it is that I really like the new Nina, the way that it's going. And I think we're pretty lucky to have a program like that available to us, which costs absolutely nothing. I donate it to the cause just to help keep things moving along, and challenged everybody else to do the same. But it's great that it's there and it's free, and it's really doing some they're really doing some fantastic stuff with it. So I would say that if you're thinking about using Nina or you haven't tried it yet, give it a try and see what you think, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot use Nina. Unfortunately, I've tried. I've actually said this on the show once before, but what happened was, so my friend Minos came up to me and said, "Oh, you got to try this new program." This is when it first came out. You got to try this new program. It's Nina. It's awesome. It's great. You got to try it. It's so much easier. It's right in front of you. There's nothing. It's all the coding is right there. So there's no kind of like sequence profiles and user profiles and all this stuff. It's all right there, and it's all. You got to try it. So I'm like, cool. I'll try it. Try it out. Load it up. Whatever. Go to connect the camera. Doesn't accept S-Big cameras. So.
Okay. Really interesting.
Yeah. So S-Big cameras are not supported, and that's an S-Big problem, not a Nina problem. S-Big unfortunately did not put the SDKs out fast enough, I guess. So they're still running on their own individual drivers. There's no ASCOM drivers for S-Big cameras, unfortunately. But I mean, I did try it with my QHY. And it's pretty awesome. I love it. I think it's great. If I could use it for every camera, I would.
What version were you using? Do you remember?
I'd have to look up to see. I haven't used it in a while because I've been dealing with my S-Big camera. It was about 6 or 8 months ago. So whatever version that was, I'm not really sure what the version number was.
All right, yeah, it's changed quite a bit since then, actually. So it might be worth checking it out again just to see. Yeah. No, it's a really fabulous program, and like I said, we're really lucky that we have something as great as Nina that we can just download and install and start using and do the astrophotography that we like to do.
And Tim is asking, compared to APT, is it any easier to use than APT?
Myself, I haven't used APT, so I can't really make that comparison. I don't know if anyone else has used APT, but I can't make that comparison, unfortunately. I've used SGP. I was using SGP for years before I switched to Nina. And one of the questions that I get a lot is, why did I make that switch? And I actually don't have a good answer for it. It was just curiosity that I wanted to try Nina and see what it was about. And when I first tried it, I actually didn't like it, and I wasn't using it. I went back to SGP, and then I thought, well, I'll give it another try, and I did, and it actually started to make sense, and I was able to take some images that one night, and then it sort of grew on me. I'm not sure why it is like that. It just sort of grew on me, and I stuck with it, and now I've been using it for the past probably 6 months, 5-6 months.
Wow. Yeah, same like you. I've been using SGP probably for about 2 years now. So it was like I'm kind of stuck to I'm stuck to that platform right now with the camera that I have.
Yeah. Well, and it also boils down to what works for you too, right? If you're happy with SGP and it's working well, there's really no need to change. It just so happens that for me, I tried Nina just out of curiosity, and I ended up liking it, and then that's really why I just switched, just because I just happen to like it a little more.
Yeah. And again, that's what it is for everybody.
ASI guys.
There you got two ASI guys on the board, and then I'm like kind of the lone ranger. I'm not. Yeah. I don't have. The only thing I have ZWO for is my guide camera, I think.
Yeah, I look at it this way.
Over to the red side there, Dan.
Yeah, I know. You're gonna bring me over to the dark side. I know.
Exactly.
Well, and Shawn, you and I were kind of talking about the ASI earlier. For somebody that's just getting into this, it's an easy transition into it. It's $300 for the SIR Pro. You get 4 power ports that will support additional hardware. You can only push a total of 8 amps through it, so it's kind of limited as to what it can do. But for $300, you can do everything that you can within reason that the Eagles do, but you're limited only to the ZWO product, which is its biggest downfall in the rest of the imaging world, because the lack of availability of cameras and options there for people that have already bought into hardware.
Yeah, unless you get just traditional DSLRs like your Nikons or your Canons. But besides that, you are pretty limited. You're with the ZWO platform, and you really don't stray. You can't stray from anything.
You can't stray.
Not allowed.
So and for a lot of us, we're okay with that, because ZWO does put out some pretty good products as far as their cameras go. I know I haven't personally used any other products other than my QHY, my Polemaster, and so that's not really a comparison to anything. But I've heard good things about QHY products. I've heard good things about SBIG. I've heard, good things about Altair Astro. So, there's a lot of good products out there. It's just, for me personally, I got caught up, I got caught with the ZWO, and I've gone red and haven't gone back.
You got the red line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and, somebody just buying in like me, I went that path just because it's the same price as the Altairs or the QHYs are roughly all the same price point. It's the same chipsets. Yeah. The only thing that really differs is how they rewrite the firmware to be able to open up different features and different chips. So, for me, it was just easy. I could put it up. I'm lazy, and typically when I'm working, I've said it on the show numerous times, and I'm a video engineer by trade. I typically would be traveling roughly 200 days a year. So my imaging is, okay, good, I've got 3 days home. I'm going to spend 2 days imaging before or after I put my daughter to bed, because it's the only time she sees me. So I just wanted to be able to have something quick. I can go set it up, image, go say goodnight to her, watch it from my armchair as I watch the evening news, and then go to bed, check on it periodically, get up in the morning, download the card, and then off I go with the rest of my day before I repack my bags and head back to the airport to the next city. So, it's just
I haven't had any experience with the ASI product other than I had an ASI 1600 monochrome camera in 2017, which I used for a while. But I had some dew problems with it on the sensor window, and I also I wasn't really a fan. That was an early on model for them, so I wasn't really a fan of the stars either. The stars didn't look that great to me in a lot of ways, but I ended up moving over to the QHY platform, and they have some great products, and it's been working really well for me. So I had some experience with CCD cameras too. I was using an SBIG 8300 that was loaned to me, which worked really nice. It was a great experience to use that monochrome camera, especially in the city doing narrowband work. I actually got a lot of good results using that camera. And then I bought a Moravian 16200 as well, which worked fabulously. And I still have the 16200, but I don't use it as much because I really like the download speeds of the CMOS cameras. They're just so fast, you can't beat that compared to CCD. CCD, like the Moravian, can take up to 24 seconds to download one frame, whereas the CMOS camera is like 2 or 3 seconds and it's there.
Yeah.
That's
I use the SBIG STF 8300, and that's the one that I use. And it's the download speed's not that bad. I mean, on that, I mean, literally, it's probably maybe 3 seconds on the outside.
Oh, really?
It's really
that's considerably faster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not bad. I mean, the camera's in maybe the newer model, so it's, let's see, I want to say it's about 2.5 years old, that camera, and I love it. I would, if only that CCD chips weren't slowly going away, I would rather get more and more of that KAF 8300 CCD chip. I would still stay with it. Just because,
it's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, I love it. The results that I get out of that camera are just great. But,
well, and that's one of the things that ZWO did is they started shooting JPEG reference files. So the reference file is it's a stretched file that they load as a proxy, basically. So even on my 2600, I'm about 2 to 3 seconds to download the reference file to see the stretched image.
Yeah, because you're basically downloading 2 images, though. You're downloading the FIT and the JPEG.
I'm not downloading it, though, because it's all going to the card. The refresh on the screen, I can either do a stretched or non-stretched, and it's referencing the JPEG. It's not actually touching the FITs. So it's doing it to a JPEG proxy file that it's using to do that change. And even if I turn off the stretching, it takes 2 to maybe 4 seconds on the 2600 because of the larger file size, being a larger sensor. But yeah, I mean, they're fast. And even like pulling it over the network, for me to go, sort and pull all my FITS files over the network, I can pull 40 FITS files over my gigabit network here on the house in less than 3 minutes.
I can't do that.
I've got a gigabit network throughout the entire house, and my backbone's a 10 GB switch, so I can't pull that off the camera or the ASI Air that fast because it's only a 10100 gigabit or a 10100 port. But
right.
But no, for me, because I'm like you, Jason. I've got the I've got a gigabit network going back here. And yeah, it's pretty darn quick for me to start pulling off. But now, even with the ASI Pro, when I had the original ASI, it was great, having that Ethernet backbone because I can pull things off really good and really quickly. Even with the ASI Pro, I mean, I can just walk over, I can pull the USB, the flash drive from it, pop it into my my PC, and I can download it, because it's USB. Download it within a few, take me a minute, boom, I'm done. Then I pop it back in and I move on. So it's kind of nice to have that extra feature of having a USB stick there.
And that's the one of the big things that they did with going with the ASI Pro is actually writing to a USB stick as opposed to the micro SD card. Because with the version 1, you had to pop that SD card out, and It's surprising how quickly you corrupt a card when you do that.
Yeah, and that's why I ended up going
Yeah.
through the Ethernet backbone because I didn't want to keep pulling that card out. So then I would just go through my Ethernet, map a network drive, to that SD card, and I would just download it right from there and then just clear it out when I'm done. Because I went through like maybe 3 or 4 SD cards, with the first version going through that, so it was a pain in the butt, Fortunately, the first thing they told you when you first set it up, back up the ASIR, back up the software, because trust me, we kind of know what's going to happen if you don't. It's
That's
like
why you
just
need
a
an
fair
eagle, man.
warning.
That's why you need an
Yeah,
eagle, man.
yeah,
Come on, man. Pull the trigger, bro.
Oh man, no, I'm good. I'm good with my ZW.
The Eagles,
Speaking of
the Eagles
ZW,
are nice. The Eagles are great, but
Yeah.
they're just really expensive. That's all.
Yeah.
I was looking at an Eagle on that, but I ended up just getting a mini PC that I put. It actually fit very conveniently inside the pier, the top of the pier. So, and it's worked really well. It does everything that the Eagle does. It's just not as sophisticated, I guess, as the Eagle. But yeah, the Eagle, the price range just doesn't. At least for the one that I was looking at, it just didn't fit the bill, and it wasn't going to get a stamp of approval from the boss, anyways.
Yeah, well, the Max, the Eagle Pro goes for you get it on sale usually for about $1,900 US.
US.
that's what I'm talking
Well,
about.
that's what,
So,
2,500
for me,
Canadian.
for me,
Well, you
Yeah.
can still get an Eagle. The entry level one is still $1,495 US. So I mean, so it's still $1,500.
so there you go. Again, that's the new 294 right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
294 right there. I'll buy your camera.
Why didn't you tell me 2 years ago before I bought my Eagle 3 Pro? All right,
We're not dogging on the Eagle. It has its place. It's a great product.
Yeah, no, it is a great product. Yeah, for sure.
And for people that don't want to lug a laptop, it's an extremely versatile product. And trust me, if I could afford to have one and have it on my scopes, I would. But it's just so much easier for my setup being able to run on that ASIR Pro because I don't have to do a ton of config. I don't have to keep all the software updated. I update one thing. It does everything that all the little packet softwares do. I've got a sequencer. I've got PhD2. I've got...
You've got autofocus.
Yep, it's got autofocus in it now. It now has the ability to do planetary, so it can do video.
Yeah, you can do planetary.
I've got 7 pieces of software in one box that powers up in under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
To functioning in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a Windows 10 enterprise computer with about 20 pieces of software, and it still loads up in about 35 seconds.
You hit the nail, but see, you said the key thing. It's Windows.
Yeah.
That's something's gonna end up happening.
Which is ironic coming from 2 network guys that do IT.
Yeah, well, I do IT as well, but in all fairness, the Windows version that they have on there is a really stripped down version of Windows. And I'll be honest, I am not a Windows fan. I am not a Windows fan. I'll tell you that right off the bat. But I've had it for over 1.5 years. Never crashed on me. I can't say that with my $2,000 Alienware computer that just crashed on me an hour ago. you know. But you know, whatever they do and whatever formats they use to figure out Windows on the Eagle, it works. It works. It works. It's not like it crashes on you, so it doesn't crash. It hasn't on me yet.
Hey, Shawn, let me ask you this because I'm not 100% sure. What is your rig comprised? Because you're running it on a pier. What is your setup? What do you have a multiple scope, or do you have a primary that you use more often?
I've got the main scope that I use is an Esprit 100 triplet, and it's been a really nice scope. I got that in I'm thinking 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. And I did a lot of research looking at different images that were taken by Takahashi scopes and Vixen, the VCD 3.8, I think it was. At just comparing images basically, and the Esprit just it seemed to hold its own. It held up to a lot of the more expensive scopes and that, and it was still an investment to make, a big investment, but it was not as expensive, so it fit the budget a bit better, and
Sure.
it's really turned out to be a fantastic scope. It works really nice. I like it. It's good. It's got good pinpoint stars to the corners, and good color and whatnot. So it's turned out to be a great scope. I also use, I have I already mentioned the Moravian camera, the 16200 EC, which CCD camera. So I've used that on it. I've used the QHY 168 on it, which I have, and I've got a QHY 268C as well, which is currently connected to it. Then that's the extent of the newer equipment. I get into older stuff now. When I'm actually using older stuff, the auto guider I've got is an Orion Star Shoot from 10 years ago. Actually, it's still chugging along, doing its job, and the mount is a 2008 EQ6, and it's still chugging along, doing a great job too. Getting a nice flat curve, nice graph, I should say, in the PhD, and everything's working well. So I haven't really had the need to change anything. But the rig itself is not overly, it's not full of pizzazz or anything to speak of. It's an average. I would consider it very average in a lot of ways, but it's not always what you have so much as how you use it, as they say. And well, so I've heard anyways. But it's worked out well, and I've got that riding on a Skyshed pier. That was actually one of the best things I did, was I bought a Skyshed pier. And there's a lot of good piers out there in the market. I just happened to the owner of Skyshed, Wayne there, it's a Canadian company, right? So I was supporting Canadian by buying it and whatnot. And I've been really impressed with it. It's really solid, really, really great pier to have. And that has been instrumental, I think, in terms of getting the images that I've been getting and the guiding that I've been getting, having moved to a pier. I noticed it right away, moving off of a tripod to a pier, that it was quite a bit different in terms of the guiding and the quality of the images. So that was a great investment, and then that allowed me to, have everything basically sit ready to go and power it up and go inside and connect to it and set up the night's imaging run and go to bed, which has just been really fantastic. I can't say how much, I can't even, begin to say how much I like being able to just go to bed and get up in the morning and see what, rather than sitting out all night. That was horrible, It was some nights it was cold, especially when you get into the fall. And so I remember I was out one time, it was minus 22 degrees Celsius, which is really cold here. Like, it's just freezing. Yeah. And, we're out there in the middle of the night doing this stuff, and that's just crazy. So, it's nice to be able to set it up and come inside nice and warm and whatnot in the colder months, and be able to image and go to bed and wake up and, see what you got, look through the data.
Yeah. And now, like you mentioned in fall, now that, fall, you get, longer nights, so you can start imaging maybe a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I was talking with Jason about that earlier. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, if the night's getting longer and stuff, you can image, I start at about 6 o'clock now, and I go till 6 a.m. Yeah. So, I can really pull in a lot of data. The next step would be to get another scope on there and basically do two scopes at the same time, and two cameras at the same time, so that can capture, maybe color data with one and capture luminance with the other. So you get double the data for the night. That's the direction I'm moving anyway. So we'll see what happens.
That's what I'm excited
Okay.
about, because I know I talked to you and Dan.
Yeah,
and I
that's
both
right.
know, but my 70G came in this week, so I've
Yep.
been slowly starting to play with it. I got 2 nights of imaging, and once we're done here, I'll image again tonight. Holy crap, am I in love with that thing? I had a little
Do you
bit of
have it on a
setup
TriCare?
issues that were more me issues than it. Just learning the idiosyncrasies of the way they config things, and with all the extra power that they've got on there, how it has to path. But plugged everything in. Took about 2 hours for me to get everything kind of fully functional with the ASAR Pro. But once it
Okay.
was up, man, it tracked, it went, did everything it needed to do. It did the meridian flip without any issues. The biggest hiccup I had, because I'm on the beta group with ASIR, so I downloaded the latest 1.5-1, and they, on the iOS version, had a small glitch that completely hosed the sequence page on our auto run, so I couldn't deselect any of my sequences. I happen to have two different things selected from when I upgraded, so I had to go alter the page because I couldn't delete it. You couldn't change. You can change it, you just can't deselect it. So I had to change it to a bias file at 0.001 seconds, so I could just trash it later. And basically just run everything on the one sequence. But they got that bug fixed. I'm hoping to play with that tonight because they added a few new features.
Good.
That I'll be playing with.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
But now I've
Nice.
got my,
I
both
can't
my
wait.
scopes
I
set
can't wait to
up.
see the results on that, bro.
Well, and the funny thing is, so I put it on my TriPeer, and so I moved my CEM40 over to the tripod. You know, it's the 2-inch safe lock, which is their higher end. Definitely way overkill for the 40. But man, like Shawn was just saying, the guiding was phenomenally different. You know, I could get like
Yeah, for sure.
low end was 0.42, 0.48, averaging about 6.2. Put it on the tripod, and I can't get below 6.5 or 0.65. Whereas the 70G was maintaining quite handily at about 0.42. And I'm sure once I do a little bit more tweaking and dialing, I'll be able to get it in below that, because it's supposed to be sub 0.3. And it's capable of it. I just got to figure out how to tune her to get her there.
Sure. Nice.
That's gonna be
I'm looking
awesome.
forward to seeing some. I'm looking forward to seeing some images from you, man.
Yeah,
Off of the 70.
I can't show them because it's on a different computer, but I have a couple of unedited that I just went into APP and just stacked everything.
Sure.
Got some decent data on 1795, IC 1795. Did a little bit of M33 last night, but wasn't terribly happy with the outcome, so that's going to get scrapped and redone. But,
Yeah.
Do you post your images? Do you have a website, Jason?
I don't have a website for that because my website's primarily dedicated to my full-time business. Most everything I do is either going to go up onto YouTube or Facebook. I have an Instagram, but I don't populate it near as often as I need to. Don't make me, Tyler.
Yeah, I've got an Instagram. I don't really use it too much. I'm not. I don't know what it is with Instagram. It's just not. It just doesn't work for me for some reason. I can't get into it.
It's
I'm more of a
weird platform, man.
Well, you have to do
It's,
everything from
I
a
just
phone.
didn't take to it very well.
You have to do everything from
What's
a
that?
phone, and I do all my work on
Yeah.
my desktop. So every time that I finally get a window,
Actually, there's a way to do it from the desktop.
You don't
There's a
go
way.
into desktop.
and
dude.
every
Into
time I've
desktop,
used
you
it,
do
it ends up getting blocked. They keep
No.
taking down
There's a way to do it on desktop. You gotta go. You gotta hit F11. You gotta do in the coding. You gotta do a couple of things. But
That's
there's a way to
what I
do
don't
it.
have.
Actually, no. I use an extension off of Chrome. I have a Chrome extension.
I
and
had
I've
that
done
too.
it and I haven't had a problem.
Yeah.
I haven't had a problem yet with it. So,
Yeah, I just don't find that the Instagram is convenient. Like Jason there, I do a lot of the work at the computer. I'm not using my phone to do it. So I'll have the Twitter open and Facebook open and stuff like that, and the YouTube open, and I can, work through them all very easily and conveniently. But Instagram, it's not like that. I got to get on my phone and I gotta transfer images over and upload them, and it's just pain. It just didn't work for me. So
So Tyler Bowman, who works for Explore Scientific, is watching us, and he's actually helping us at AstroWorld on the Instagram stuff, because I think he's the only one that knows how to work it.
Yeah, right.
So Tyler's been doing a great job with that. So I just want to give props up to Tyler on that while I know he's watching. So thank you for your work on that, Tyler. I appreciate it.
Well, he's imaging nonetheless.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So he's been doing a lot of work. So Shawn, we all know you from VisibleDark, and we know you're all over YouTube. What's going on over at VisibleDark? What do you got in the pipeline? What do you got going? Anything new? I know you launched VisibleDark Live recently.
Yeah, the VisibleDark Live was more of an experiment to see what the live streaming was about and how it worked. I actually had never done it before, so I got my feet wet just by jumping in and checking it out. So it actually has turned out to be pretty interesting. It was great being able to interact with people and get they were asking questions and stuff, and I was showing them what I was up to, what I was doing. Whether that was, imaging that night or doing some processing. But the interaction was just really fantastic. A lot of people, tuning in and asking questions. It actually was quite, it was overwhelming at times, actually, the number of questions I was getting thrown at me and trying to keep up with everything. But doing the live stream, and I got some, I'm going to be doing more live streaming, and I've got some guests that are going to be joining the show and stuff coming up. Just a little bit of a spoiler coming up. I got Trevor from Astro Backyard. He's going to be on the show, and we're going to get Ron Breacher on the show as well, and just do some chit chat, much like you guys do. Just do some chit chat and talk about astrophotography and image processing and whatnot. So not to be competition with you guys. Don't take it like that.
No.
Not at all.
Not at
all.
All's fair, man. It's a big field.
Yeah, it's a big field. Yeah, absolutely. Which is how I feel about the Pixin site. Teaching it and stuff, and the tutorials and stuff like that. It's a big field, and there's a lot of room for everybody to be involved and to make a contribution that helps other people. So that's again primarily starting the live stream was a test, and it's sort of turning into a bit an extension, another way for me to be able to reach out to people and entertain them, but also give them some value in terms of questions they may have and answering those questions.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And again, I think it all goes back to, again, helping other people not hit the bumps in the road that we've all hit. I think that has a lot to do with, again, what we all kind of want to do and helping people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
This is, I look at this as, a big, astro club, just like our, you have our local astro societies, astronomy societies and stuff like that. I look at it, this is nothing more than just a huge club for all of us just to hang out, talk, share information, share some tips, have some fun, meet new people and look at it that way. This is, we're all enjoying the same thing. We're not professional. None of us are really professionals at it, unless maybe you're talking like maybe to Adam Block, or something, But we're just having a blast, and we just all just enjoy just doing this stuff. So I look at it as that no, it's not a competition. It's just us all having a lot of fun doing what we enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I
see someone in the comments is. What's that? Go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
I was just seeing someone in the comments was referring to Ron as an AP legend in their mind.
Yep.
I just thought that was funny.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I can hear his head swelling already.
I think I have a class booked with him next week, so I'm sure I'll hear about that. But
Hey, Shawn, when is
Tyler,
your show?
Tyler also is blaming me for he actually purchased a Esprit 120, and
nice.
He's blaming me for that. So.
Hey, Shawn, when does your
But
show air?
Yeah.
Are you a weekly show like us on a certain schedule, or
No,
is
it's
it?
not. Yeah, no, it's not like that yet. Because it's just in its infancy right now. So I'm just sort of working out some details. There isn't actually a schedule for it. Largely, I'll go live stream when I can or when I feel like
Mhm.
it at this point. And until the guests are confirmed as to the dates and whatnot, there really isn't going to be a schedule for it as of yet. But the best thing I'd say is to, subscribe to my channel and watch for
yeah,
the updates because there's going to be
Yeah.
some, good stuff coming. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, just get the
Awesome.
notifications, and you can see Shawn
Yeah,
live whenever he goes
you get the
live.
notifications. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I bumped on a couple of nights with you. I just chopped, see what you were doing.
Yeah. Hey Dan, how's things coming with is it Telescope, I Telescope or Telescope Live you're looking at that we were looking
Telescope
at?
Live, yes. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. So Shawn was actually on the conference call with myself and Jason. I want to
Okay.
say it's almost 3 weeks ago already, and
Yeah.
Yep.
Time flies.
yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
while. And since then, I've only received one email from Alex over at Telescope Live. But it looks like that's the way that we're going to be going as far as the data from the southern targets. So it looks like that we're still working on some sort of discount code. There's some legalities involved with that Alex is working through. Um, but it looks like we are going to be end up paying whatever it is, $1 a credit, maybe a little bit less because we're going to be doing this a lot more of. We have a lot more influx of people that want to do it, so I think we can. Hopefully, we can get them down to even if it's 80 cents a credit as opposed to $1. I think that will save a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
we're still working on that. I'm still waiting to hear finally from Alex. So hopefully by next week I'll have something. But it looks like that we're probably going to be paying the regular dollar per credit right now until we figure out something else. So if we want to get this started now, that's the route that we're going to have to go at this point. And then the PayPal is all set up. It's PayPal at AstroWorld.com. So if you want to make any contributions, you can go to that and contribute whatever you want. Everyone will have access to all the data. Whatever you contribute, everyone will have access to everything as of right now. And then hopefully we could get some time in on them. And I think Shawn, you're the only one that's contributed so far. But we do have a lot of people that have been asking questions. I've had a lot of emails and Facebook messages on where do I make a contribution. So I'm expecting that to go up a lot faster than really fast, really quick. So hopefully we get this started maybe in December, and then we could with that.
Now, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said in our last chats, was this is going to be a great opportunity for a lot of people who, with the Telescope Live, especially when it comes to post processing and gathering some data from areas that they've never seen before or they don't have access to, and have an opportunity to learn post processing, using their own stuff, either APP, PixInsight, what have you, whatever they want to use. But the big thing is just to, have that opportunity to start using some really solid data, from Chile or Australia or, somewhere around here. It's going to be really, really slick, to have that opportunity to try this stuff out. And then compare, we have a little competition or whatever, but then just compare, see how, everybody's doing and progressing and stuff like that. And, just learn from one another. So this is all for me. This is all about learning, this whole project is all about learning for me.
Yeah, I have experience with using eye telescope, and that goes back a few years ago. But I was imaging from Australia and the telescopes that they had in New Mexico. Actually, I was taking data from those two areas, and the quality of the data that you get from these dark sites, these elevated dark sites, is just phenomenal. It actually is a lot easier to process, I find, when you're working on your images than a lot of the data that you collect from the city, from your backyard. There's just a phenomenal difference in the quality of the data. So I think that what we're doing here with getting that pool going and tapping into these the telescope live and gathering data that everyone can access and process, I think is a really fantastic idea, and it gives everyone a great opportunity to experience not only imaging with fabulous equipment that you may never be able to afford, may never ever get to use, but also imaging from locations that you may never even be able to go and image from. You're able to sit in the comfort of your home and have this data and be able to experience it, which is really fantastic. So
I mean, it's going to be an awesome experience. I think it's going to be a great learning tool, as Eric said. And, it's kind of like the difference between when you're first starting to play golf with a starter set of clubs when you're imaging from the city. Then all of a sudden, you're driving 350 yards because you got a better swing and better club. Now you're imaging from border one skies, and you're not dealing with a lot of gradient issues or quality of image issues that you're going to have when you're going from Long Island.
For sure. I'm just looking at the chats there. Mark Ellis was asking about if they supply darks and flats, and yes, they do. They definitely supply that. I'm not sure how a telescope live works, but I know in my experience with the iTelescope, they gave you the option to download the light frames and the flats and the darks and the bias frames individually, separately, or they supplied you with calibrated light frames that you could download if you wanted to skip that calibration process and not download all that data. You could just download the calibrated light frames and align and stack them and start processing. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, they do same thing as Telescope Live. They went over that at the conference call. There is an option to download all of the calibration frames, the flats, bias, dark. They will all be there. And part of the contest, I think, should also be making your own calibration frames and calibrating the images as well. So, I mean, I think that's
for sure. Yeah. Did Telescope? I don't recall in the stream that we had going on there, the conference. Did they say that they supplied the calibrated light frames or not?
Yes, they do. They will do either or.
Yeah,
they will do either or. Okay,
he's walking us through where you have to go in and tell it to
get the calibrated,
and then you pull all the data set.
You pull all the data set. Okay, all right, that'll be awesome. Nice, that's great.
Yeah, but I think it'll be nice to have that. But I think either way, having the actual calibration frames too for the learning opportunity.
Learning opportunity.
Well, and that's the one thing we were really talking about in that meeting, was making sure that we had access to those calibration, because that's part of the whole challenge. So,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's really simple to calibrate now, especially in, I don't know about other platforms, but with PixInsight, it's pretty simple to you throw it all into weighted batch preprocessing and let it do the work, and it's it doesn't get any easier, right?
Yeah, it is very easy now. Maybe I should just tell everybody that they got to do integrate their own master flats and darks manually.
Manually. Oh no.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes over.
All of a sudden, I'll get 50-cent donations. And
I actually want my money back now.
It's right now. It's the only thing in there, so you can have it whenever you want it. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, you haven't invested it or anything?
No. As a matter of fact, I got to remember the password to that PayPal account. So.
Oh my God.
Well, that might be good. Yeah.
That's helpful, man. Just saying.
Just kidding. Come on.
That's on a post-it note on the side of the screen.
Yeah, it's right there on the side of the screen. Yeah, what is it right there?
So let me ask you guys a question. You've been asking me questions. How did you guys get into astrophotography? What started you on the journey?
Wow.
Anyone?
Dan, you want to start off first?
Bueller?
Doesn't matter who.
No?
The room went silent.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? Well, for me,
Yeah.
it all started. For me, it was astronomy first. It was visual,
Yeah.
and growing up in Chicago, you don't see a lot of stuff. Being in you basically see the moon and you see a few planets and stuff like that. That's about it. But it started with astronomy for me, and then it moved on when I was in the service, having to see some really dark skies and seeing, really what's up there.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing was, as far as photography, was my wife for my birthday about 3 years ago. She bought me the Celestron 8SE, and
Nice.
which was fantastic. I still have it. It was my first opportunity, and then to start doing visual because I finally have a real telescope to use. And then I came across YouTube, and that first time I saw Trevor Jones, and I was watching some of his videos, and I said, you know what? I think I can do this. So he was showing like he had, with his DSLR, he had a T3i. So I started saying, you know what? I can buy this stuff. So I started buying things secondhand, from off of eBay and stuff like that. So I don't have a T3, I have a T3, which is the lower model. But, and then I just took an opportunity using, because I had Star Sense on the scope and everything. So I just hooked up the camera, and got all the kit set up, and I took my first flights of M51, and didn't know anything about calibration frames or anything like that. I just wanted to see what I can get. And I ended up using, what did I purchase? Backyard EOS was the first piece of software that I bought. And
I have that too.
And then started out there. I had no idea about, and I was still using the alt-az mount, so I had no idea about polar alignment or anything like that. But my first flight was M51, and it was just a couple frames, and I got hooked. And then I took the Owl Nebula, and I took a few frames of that, and I got, and it was great. It didn't, it was fuzzy, but it was totally uncalibrated, no guiding at all or anything like that. But I said, wow, this is incredible. And then it just blossomed from there. Buying my first refractor, getting the AVX and stuff like that, and learning about a lot of the, those things about polar alignment and stuff like that. And it just went on. So yeah, that's how I really got started with from the 8SE.
That's good. Yeah, it's interesting to see similarities in terms of how you got started and whatnot, and some, how you bought secondhand cameras and stuff like that. I bought refurbished cameras. My first refurbished camera was a 350 XT, a Rebel 350 XT, which I took a lot of images with, and really thoroughly enjoyed. And I, like you, I didn't know anything about calibration frames or dark frames or anything like that. It's all something that would come later as I progressed in the hobby and whatnot. But I was thrilled just to be able to take pictures and see these deep sky objects emerge on the camera, on the computer screen that were out there that I was imaging with this telescope that was in front of me. It was just mind-blowing to be able to do that, and certainly propelled me down along the way in being more interested in the hobby, and continuing to stick with it and learn more and dive into it. It was almost intoxicating in a lot of ways to be able to do this. It was, it was like you just couldn't get enough of it. You're just itching for the next clear night to be able to go out and do it again.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I was hooked.
I'm just trying to find an image. I took my very first image of M31. I'm just trying to look that up. You'd think I'd have a more organized website.
Now you're sounding like me. Oh crap! When did I shoot that? My problem is I dump everything into a exported folder that's my flattened PNG files, so that I go back and
Yeah,
somebody wants
so-
a print of it, and all I've got are the ones with my logo on it. Like, oh crap, when was this shot? Which sequence was it?
Let me see here. If I'll share here, let me know if you guys could see this. You guys can see that. That
Yeah,
was my very first light.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah. That brings back memories.
Oh, yeah.
that was the first light I ever took. So I happened to, I was always wondering, I had come across it, and I was like, wait a minute, and then there's Owl. If there's Owl right down there. So yeah, it was just these few images, and there, you see the stars.
How long were those?
How
long were those exposures?
I can't recall. Maybe a minute.
Okay.
Maybe a minute or so. Maybe 30 seconds. But these were totally unguided with an alt as mount, because everything was just off the A/C. And whatever came with it, it was just a T3, and that was it. So it was really something to just do this, and yeah, that was it. And now I've got 4 scopes. I've got the Rasa, and I've got several refractors and everything. So it was just one of those things that I just just loved it.
And the arsenal just grows.
I started out. What's that?
And the arsenal just grows.
Yeah, the arsenal just grows. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It just keeps going. Yeah. It's interesting you started with an alt as Eric there, because that's how I started out too. Was I actually went when I got back when I got into astrophotography in 2008. It was the summer. It was July, I think it was, of 2008. I actually went to the telescope store. We're lucky enough to have a local telescope store that we can actually go and see scopes up front and experience it that way, rather than just on online. But went to the telescope store, visited, got some told them what I was looking at doing and what I wanted to do, and they actually hooked me up with a 10-inch Newtonian, an EQ6 mount, and I don't remember if there was anything else that went with it, but basically I had what would be considered, the proper equipment for doing astrophotography. And I took it and I went and tried to work with it and hated it, couldn't stand it. I went back and bought a CPC 800, which was an alt as. It was completely, I just completely went the wrong direction with astrophotography.
Frisbee.
The Frisbee. So, and then I used that for to learn on, basically to learn astrophotography. I used a CPC 800 in alt as mode, and then I graduated to putting a wedge, an equatorial wedge with it, which got me into being able to do longer exposures and more trouble. Yeah, it didn't come without trouble, that's for sure. Yeah. So, but it was quite the experience. But I had a great time. It didn't matter that the equipment wasn't the right equipment to use and whatnot. It was just fabulous to be able to do it, and experience it. So, yeah, I'm just trying to call up. Let me just share my screen here if I can with you guys.
Sure.
What do I got here? This one here. This is I'm going to share that screen. You see that?
Yep, you're up.
Yeah, dude, that looks like the Andromeda Galaxy.
Okay. That's the Andromeda. That was one of my first images. That's a whole 8 minutes. And I was thrilled with it. I just thought this was the most amazing thing. Yeah, it was fantastic. So,
unfortunately, I may be dating myself.
Oh, yeah?
Sorry. I may be dating myself. No. I can't show my first photo that I've ever taken because it was film.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I took the film and I took the 35 millimeter and I rolled it up and I dumped it in the canister and I put it in the photo mat and I got it back and everything was completely out of focus. So I don't even have those photos anymore.
I actually still have. When I was a teenager, I experimented with doing imaging, and we didn't have computers, back then for doing the control of everything. So I was manually guiding it with an illuminated rectical eyepiece, looking through it, trying to guide on a guide star and whatnot. Yeah, it was pretty rough. I actually still have some of those images, but they're like photographs, and um, I can't show them, unfortunately, but they weren't the greatest. But it was still through. I even developed them myself. My dad actually went to the extent of setting up a little darkroom for me in the basement, and I would develop this film myself. So I'd take the images at night, and the next morning I'd get up and develop the frames and that. So, but this was taken with film. This one here, this is Halley's Comet back in 1986. Took that with my dad, and that was one of my first experiences with astrophotography, is taking photos of Halley's Comet. So that was a great experience. Really enjoyed that.
Wow,
That's awesome.
good for you.
That's really cool, man. Oh, okay. So you've got the Eastern Veil right there. Okay.
Yeah. I actually, that was data that I didn't know about. I just discovered it.
Okay.
I had taken some data on it, and I didn't realize that I had it. I was just looking around, and I stumbled across this. I was like, "What is this?" So I thought I'd open it up and see, and I realized that I hadn't even processed it or anything. It was taken with the L Extreme and the Esprit 100. So
Okay.
I got to process that up. Yeah, at some point, just got to get around to doing it. That's all.
There you go.
Yep.
Now, do you prefer more taking the time and doing like the quasi SHOs? Do you versus the color?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I know you have narrowband, so you've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the color, which do you prefer more? Do you prefer the more true color, or do you like to do the more quasi stuff?
I like all of it, to be honest with you. The only reason that I'm doing the quasi Hubble palette is because out of the gate with the L Extreme filter or the L Enhance, everything's really red, and there isn't a lot of distinction in things. It's just everything just seems to be red. And you can process it a bit. You can process that and turn it into something. I just find it interesting more fun just to be able to. Play around with the data and try and make it into that Hubble palette. So it's not necessarily a preference or anything. It's just sort of it's my own what I feel like doing with the data at the time, and I just find the red kind of boring. That's all. So that's what sort of led me down the road to experiment. It was a complete experiment to. I wasn't even thinking. I just sort of split the channels and decided to use the PixInsight script that I had for combining H alpha and O3 and S2 and see what would happen if I named the channels. And then it came together, and I started processing it and realized that you could do this. And I thought, that's kind of neat. So I decided to do some more work with it and churn out some images, which worked out pretty good actually. So yeah, but I like doing both. I like the color, the broadband, and I like the narrow band, and especially combining them and stuff. So I don't really have a particular preference to speak of.
Sure. Okay.
I say,
How about you guys?
Hey Dan, real quick. Speaking of Arsenal, I'm gonna show you something. Here.
Uh-oh.
Let me see this. I wanted to show you guys this. All right. Here it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm almost done with it.
Nice.
So this is with the with the Rokinon 135 millimeter. And this is what this one is. This is the 294 MC. So I'm setting it up right now. So I can do the EAF, and then I'm going to get another aluminum plate that I'll put on the back here for the ASIR Pro. I'll put another extension probably out here if I can't get it on the dovetail itself. But yeah, and I'm hoping to get it tomorrow. is the Rokinon 50 millimeter.
Gotcha.
It's a manual focus 50 millimeter. I was talking to you guys about, I think, last week, because I am hoping, because I actually saw posted on Facebook just, I think, today or yesterday, Adam Block's Orion that he did. I think he
Yeah.
posted on YouTube, on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw
yesterday.
that. I think it was on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, yep, that's what I want to do. And with the 50 millimeter and looking at telescopies, it looks like I'll be able to fit everything in, the loop, everything in there really nicely with the 294 and the 50. So I'm looking forward to, getting the clouds out of, I have to pay my penance since I bought something new. I've got to deal with the clouds for a little
Of course.
And then once it's done, and they've forgiven me, then I'll go ahead and do some imaging.
So I say, I think this is the first piece of astrogear I bought that I didn't get clouds as soon as I received it.
Yeah. It only happens every once in a while. Other than that, I think you get lucky like maybe once a year if you do something like that. Other than that, then you can just forget about it.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting for my 120, and I heard some maybe good news that hopefully by Christmas, hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Originally, I heard Easter. So.
Oh no.
So. Yeah.
Christmas
So
is a lot
Skywatch.
better.
Yeah, Skywatch is very, very back ordered right now, especially with the 120s. And so hopefully, I just heard something recently that hopefully by the end of the new year, I'll have my new telescope. So we'll see.
There you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah,
that'd be a great
so
way to just start the new year.
Now I just need a new camera to put on it. But yeah. There you go. In case you're all going to show you.
QHY.
I hear you. There you go. So I'll show you this real quick.
Sure.
There you go.
Fantastic. Okay. Wow. Look at that. Eh? That's great. You got a lot of great detail there. Very three-dimensional.
Yeah, that's about 150 minutes right now of HA.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's going to be really nice.
So
you're going to collect the 03 and the S2 as well?
Yeah, so right now I'm at, let's see. And let's see. So I got 5 more of HA to do, and then does the 03 and the S2 later on tonight. So
great. Okay. That's awesome.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be a great image. That'll be really nice.
Yeah, that's tagged on to the other, I think, 12 or 15 hours that I got already. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Pretty cool.
And let me get this out of here. And other things, but.
So
did you see that? Did you see that photo that Trevor had posted there online of himself when he was in the 90s with his wife?
No.
It was like it was a throwback. It was an old photo, and that he was really young looking and stuff. It was really funny. So I said that he can't have all the fun. So I went and posted my own photo of me when I was a teenager with my scope, and that's it there.
Nice.
Check out the hair.
I love it. Freaking flock of seagulls over there.
Yeah,
well, actually, everyone kept referring to it as a mullet, and I never really thought of it as a mullet, but it was actually influenced by. It was influenced more by Duran Duran's bass player John Taylor. That's where it came from.
I can see that. Yep.
but everyone calls it a mullet, so I was like, oh well. But that was one of my scopes, an 8-inch scope that I had put together, and I bought all the parts and put it together with the help of my dad and stuff. And the mount you see in the background there, the wood tripod, That
Yeah.
actually is for that's actually for the very first scope I owned, which was a 4.5 inch reflector. So I took the 4.5 inch reflector off and put this 8 inch scope on. It was completely unstable. I was using exercise weights on the other side as counterweights and stuff, and just a complete disaster in terms of a telescope setup. But boy, did I have a lot of fun with it still.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Well, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
it is absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's all that matters in the end is having fun with it. But that was the greatest thing for me, was to be able to, put that scope together, and that led to another scope. It led to a 14-inch actually reflector that I would build, and I imported a mount from Tucson, Arizona. A guy that made they were called Bigfoot mounts. I don't know if anyone remembers them, but they were a combination of, they were made out of wood and they had metal gears and stuff like that, but they were primarily made out of wood. And I imported that from Tucson, and had that was my equatorial mount that I used. I actually saw one for sale not that long ago on one of the Astro buy and sell sites, that someone was getting rid of one, and I thought it was such a throwback just to see it, because I haven't seen that mount in ages. I don't even know where it is anymore.
Wow.
Nice.
Since we're doing throwbacks, I just found
what do you got? Did you?
Right,
Awesome. What do you got?
All right, let's see. So, let's see. Where's the screen sharing? There it is. And share that. And there you go.
Oh, check that out.
Wow.
That's my first real telescope that I kind of had for imaging. You can see that's it. Look at all the crap that you had to carry around with that. Oh my God! I was like, they used to make fun of me with all the wires and the guy. Like, I got the Telrad on the floor. I got the wireless hand controller over here. I got my old Dell computer over here. That was a piece of garbage. I think that bag is for my Rebel XT, if I remember right. I think it was a Rebel XT. And this was at a party. I guess I don't even know how long ago. I mean, I guess we could probably find out info. 2006. There you go.
Wow.
Nice.
So that was 14 years ago. God, I had no gray hair.
Yeah, I actually noticed that. That was one of the first things I noticed. You don't have any gray hair.
Yeah, thanks, Shawn.
Hey, it's okay. I got gray hair now too. I didn't have gray hair.
Yeah,
it's all got gray.
I'll tell you, I got. My wife gave me the second COVID haircut. Get the buzzer, buzz the sides, and pretty soon I'm gonna have the mullet again. But just gonna comb back.
Things to strive for.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I need to get a cut. Mine's getting a little bit long for me, so I got to get on my barber, aka the wife.
I'm not shaving yet until until December 1st, because I'm doing the whole November.
Yep. Shave November.
Thing. So I'm not doing anything until just yet. Still got got about another week or two. A little bit over two. That's under 2 weeks. So
it won't be my first mullet. So.
So. But Shawn, you brought up. I remember you mentioning about the L Extreme, and I want to share this because they brought up a good point. Let me bring this up. You talk about red.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is what the thing that I've been struggling with. With the L Extreme is just that red.
Yeah, it's predominantly red. Yeah,
it really, really is. It really, really is. So I think I'm actually going to take your what you were suggesting and looking at. I made that pop in my L Enhance and give this another go. And I'd like to see because I would like to try to put this into an SHO type. And see how it comes out, because I've been struggling with, after splitting the channels, to bring to bring the
bring it all together,
bring it all together, because it's just so red. It's a big fight. So
Normally when I'm Yeah, when I'm working with something like that in PixInsight, it's there's a lot of masks involved in order to
Mhm.
isolate certain areas, and I'm sort of referring to other images that have been taken in the Hubble palette to see where the blue is and you know where the gold is and stuff like that. And I'm basically
Yeah.
creating masks and actually changing the color of that area to better suit you know the Hubble palette what I'm trying to achieve. So it gets pretty tricky. It gets really complicated, but it's you know if you can do it, if you can pull it off, it looks great, and it's a lot better than just the you know the red that comes out of it naturally. So
Exactly, exactly. And so this is what I just wrapped up. So I haven't even
wow,
posted this on Facebook yet. So
yeah, that's awesome, really good.
so this
Yeah,
one's
that
yeah.
looks great.
So this one was really good. You know.
What did
So
you take this with?
this was with my Rasa 8 and the
Hmm.
533 MC Pro.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
So
nice.
it's a straight perfect 1 inch square sensor.
Hmm.
So yeah, and this was I think about 40 300. This was about 5 minute. No, this wasn't five. This was 120. Um, so this was 2 minute exposures, and yeah, it turned out pretty darn. I like it. Turned out okay.
Yeah, no, it
So
turned out great. Yeah, no,
Yep.
fabulous.
Yeah.
so
Yep.
yeah. So this is one that I think that I was talking to my kill this now. Talking to people that I work with, and I want to start putting things together. And we have an area at my office where we can display stuff. So I want to
Yeah.
start taking some pictures and putting them into our computer lab.
Oh, nice.
So I've got a few, that I want to end up, sending over to Bay Photo and getting them framed
Yep.
and getting them processed and framed and send them off,
There you go.
set them up. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Nice.
That's something that I got to do. I have someone actually asked me that if I have any of my pictures printed and framed and that, and the answer is no. I've actually never gone to that extent. I don't know why. I never did it, but I got to do it. I got to get some of them printed and framed and hang them up because some of them are good actually, and then
Yeah.
some of them
Yeah,
aren't.
some of them
But
Yeah.
I got a few winners in there. Oh, those are the ones I post. You don't see the crap.
I hear you. I hear you. That's why you don't see a lot of my photos.
Yeah.
Well, and I get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you should sell these," and I'm like, "I'd gladly sell them if somebody would pay more than $10 for the print." It's not
Yeah.
just the print that you're getting; it's the ten to $30,000 worth of gear and untold
Yeah.
hours of post processing to turn
Yeah,
out that
yeah.
image. It's this
Yeah.
isn't a giveaway, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's finding people that want to buy it too, right? Not a lot of people are,
Yeah,
they don't mind looking at them, but they don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
Really, that's the reality of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just like doing
How
it because
yeah, how that Jason sort of hit on something I was curious about. How long do you guys spend in your image processing usually? Then, if once you've gathered your data and whatnot and calibrated, how long do you usually spend? Whew, a long time.
Well,
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 I know some people turn it out really fast. Some people spend an hour or so and they say that's great and there you go, right? And then other people like
Mhm.
myself, I'll spend several hours in a day
Yeah.
processing an image and then I'll walk away from it and come back again and I'll do another several hours on it. So I'm just
I'm
curious
more
to
of
see what other
like
people.
that, especially for me. I've been having like a big. I'm with deconvolution. I'll sit there and probably spend an hour just on deconvolution itself sometimes, because I'll go back and forth with the de-ringing, back and forth, trying to, I'll see a little ring around, even though I'm at 200% zoom. I'll still see it.
Yeah.
And,
Nobody
and
else is going to
it,
see it, but it's there.
exactly. So I mean, I could either, if I get it and I bang it real quick, just really lucky kind of, and I could be done with deconvolution in 20 minutes. But
Hmm.
I'll sit there like, if I got a real difficult image where there's a lot of bigger and smaller stars there, the ringing's a little different everywhere. So I'm like, okay, okay, if I edge it up over here, it minuses it over here, and if I edge it up over here, so as you search on, so sooner or later, it's got to be some sort of, I guess, a little compromise, and say sometimes I got to let things go a little bit, which I'm not very good at.
Yeah.
but I could sit there and I could take anywhere from minimally probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours to I've spent 7, 8, 9 hours on one object just trying to, because it has too many different things. Like I got this one thing that I've been working with that I'm probably going to ask Ron for some help on. I got the wide field of the bubble nebula. Now I'm at 400 millimeters, so I got that cluster up there. I got the bubble nebula. I got another nebula over here, and it's trying to balance all those three things in one shot. And the amount of masks that you have to build in order to do that, it's incredible.
Yeah, I was just going to say it really boils down. Masks are your friend, especially in PixInsight. An image like that, you're going to be using a lot of masks so that you can work on one area and then work on another area and whatnot. That's the only way that you're really going to be able to achieve that end result that you're looking for. But I've seen some of your work, and you do a good job. You're doing great. So I'm sure that it'll turn out fantastic.
I mean, I just I got what the biggest thing in the road that I have an issue with when it comes down to processing is the manipulation of the curves. That's the biggest thing that I have to, in order to bring those hues and the saturation and the colors out to the point where you're not screwing up the picture. That's my biggest challenge right now, is learning how to kind of manipulate it with the anchor points well enough that I could just bring out that one type of color, especially when you're dealing with SHO, where you just want that definition in those oranges or reds or yellow area. You want that. That's the biggest thing that I have with. So.
Yeah, it can be challenging, but masks are really the way to go in terms of being able to work with that data and isolate those pockets of data that you want to change the hues and whatnot with the curves. So there's become making masks in PixInsight has become really easy, especially with StarNet. Which really started out as a star removal tool. And it's turned into this fabulous mask building tool, which is really, interesting in itself. But I use StarNet a lot to create masks, and I'll tweak them, adjust them, and stuff like that. But the basic mask is created out of StarNet, so I've been really happy with that. I was happy that they included it in PixInsight, actually. So the next step, I think, is they're going to be. I heard, anyways, they're going to be adding in speeding it up so it doesn't. Take as long to process, because there's a way to speed up StarNet currently, and it works. It works for some people, and for other people it doesn't work. But apparently, the guys at PixInsight there are working on actually including that capability within PixInsight itself natively. That StarNet would work a lot faster. So instead of waiting 3 minutes to create a mask, it would only take 30 seconds to do it, which would be really great, because it's a fabulous tool. But man, it's slow.
Well, that Dark Archon little trick that you
Dark Archon,
Let me tell you, it works awesome for me, man. When I first downloaded StarNet, and I literally ground the coffee beans and made my coffee, and like an hour later, I finally got a starless image. And now literally with using the GPU instead of the CPU. Yeah, man, it's lightning, man. I got a 2080.
I had it working with the before the latest update of PixInsight. I had the speed up that Dark Archon had created. I went through that and set it all up, and it worked great. But since the update that occurred with PixInsight, I tried repeating it, and I haven't been able to actually got it to work yet for some reason. So it just didn't kick in. So I just been running with it as it normally runs, which you go and make yourself a coffee and come back and wait for it to get finished up.
Hey man, it's an awesome tool. It really is.
It is.
Even if you want to
make a
starless image, it's really, really, really cool.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, for me, it sometimes it depends, but for the most part, it's I'm really quick with my processing. It's probably at most maybe a few hours, and I know that I can do a lot more with it if I learn, and understand a bit more. Um, it's just sometimes I just don't have the time, and I just want to get something out there. But I think honestly, if I spent a bit more time, especially learning Pix Insight, I would be like you guys. I'd probably be spending several hours on something just to get it right. But for at least for right now, my processing skills, at least in my opinion, aren't exactly where I want them to be. So it's probably just something that I just want to push something out, and I think it looks good or maybe good enough to post out on Facebook or to share with family and friends. And so it's something that maybe just takes a few hours for me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's really where I'm at. Because I have not spent nearly enough time in PI and haven't been able to do enough of the training videos and things.
Lost your audio.
Yep, I'm
There
back.
you go.
Lost your audio.
I churn it out as quick as I can. It's usually about 3 to 4 hours between APP and PI. I do all of the compiling and compositing in APP, and then I pull the FITS file into PI and do all the curves and histogram adjustments and things like that in Pix Insight. Basically, because I want to be able to turn the product quicker, because I just don't have the patience that I need to, and I just don't understand PI well enough that I need to spend a lot more time in training in order to be able to really get the detail of the image that I want. So I've been really struggling with that, but I just haven't had the time, even with being off with COVID. I've got thousands of other things that have taken away from the things that I'd like to get to work on and play with.
Right.
And that's why for $12 you go for 1 hour of training.
Yeah, head on over.
Making an investment.
There you go.
VisibleDark.ca. Go there. Yeah. 12 bucks.
and like you guys were talking about, like with masks and things like that. Okay, because you don't have masks in APP or anything like that. It's very, it's basically 6 steps and you're done. And you can do your tweaking and things like that. If you wanted to do more, maybe in Photoshop or PI or in Lightroom, you can, but it's really, really quick. But with PI, there's so much more I think you can do. It's sometimes for me, it's also recognizing when I need to use something. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like recognizing, oh yeah, I might need to use a mask here. When you know that that you should use a mask, or hey, those stars are probably too bright, or maybe you're in a really dense star field, and maybe you need to do some star reduction, to get the nebula to come out more. Sometimes I need to, it's those things like, even to Jason's point, sometimes I don't have the time. Maybe sometimes I just don't have the attention span, to recognize, okay, yeah, I need to, maybe I need to go and take some Ritalin or something and start paying attention. That's what my kids Ritalin or something, and just, all right, now I can focus, and do some of this stuff, because I would love to. I would love to have the opportunity, just to sit down and say, okay, I got this image here. How can I best bring it out? How can I recognize, okay, I can do this, or I can do that, or even recognize some of the modules of what, of PI, what they do, so that, and understand what they can do for me. Because like with you, Shawn, and with you, Dan, you guys have monochrome. So you guys have, so you're doing a lot of LRGB, or you're doing narrowband. Sometimes with a one-shot color, you just have just this one data set, and if you're not splitting channels or doing, like the quasi SHO or HOO or anything like that, you're just taking just a true color. Sometimes maybe you don't know what you don't know to help bring that one-shot color data, to its best. So
Right.
those are some of the things I really need to work on, honestly, is,
Yeah.
because that I think is the biggest, that's for me, that is the biggest learning piece and the biggest challenge, because to go ahead and set my rig up, I know how to polar align. I know how to get the guiding right. I know how to start taking the images and doing those things. So it's just the post that, to bring that stuff out, and so I can say, yeah, that kicks ass. That's the stuff I'm trying to figure out. So,
Yeah. That's something that, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say to Eric there, knowing when to do something. There are certain steps in PixInsight that you do in a certain order, but it largely you develop a workflow once you start to understand the different modules, the different tools within PixInsight, and you develop a workflow. You develop, and it's fairly consistent for images in terms of processing, whether they're broadband or narrowband. A lot of the steps are repeated, and once you do it a number of times, it becomes second nature, and you quickly understand, how to go about it. It's not as daunting and as it might seem, initially. But that was the biggest for me, anyways, in understanding PixInsight was understanding what needed to be done and when it needed to be done, and making that part of the workflow and just following those steps. So your icons on the side of PixInsight there, you can save your icons. That helps a lot in terms of creating a workflow that you can develop your images from.
Yeah, that's huge. To save those icons on there, and then you could also, under those icons, if you click on the little D right on those icons, you could actually make little notes that are good for yourself for that one process.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could save
those
that
icons.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the icons become a guide basically that you can follow your workflow. Yeah.
Yep. And you could update them as you go and save them. Hey, listen, this works better.
Oh,
here,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you could slide one down, put one on top of the other, whatever, and do whatever you got to do. And
absolutely.
Sooner or later, it's like making a good pasta sauce. Every once in a while you want to add something new, but it's a new ingredient. So I mean, it's the same thing with PixInsight. It's a new ingredient to your finished product. And that's what it is.
Yeah, you got to develop that recipe.
Yeah, so here,
not even Italian.
If I can take a quick second to show you guys. So here's PI. All right, so I got PI open. And this is a lot of stuff that, when doing from Master to PixInsight with Ron Breacher. And, is I just basically I have my little project here that I just started.
Right.
And, I have this workflow. Just basically, a lot of it was also, like these lower pieces here. When it comes to HDR transformation and star reduction, I got these from you, Shawn. To do the reduction mask and the morph transform, and I just started adding those. Added those three pieces in, on top of what Ron was showing for the one-shot color pieces with TGBD noise and the contrast with LHE, and then that's basically it. So you're absolutely right. It's just that workflow, and now maybe I just need to start, when it comes to mask, start learning the mask a bit more and understanding where those, when those come in. So then I can just go ahead and create those modules and say, all right, I'll throw that in between,
Well, eventually what you're going to want to do is you're going to definitely want to get the game script if you don't have it. You're definitely going to want to get that in there, because that's a really, really cool thing to make. I think it's like, I was up to 6 different types of masks you can make with that.
Yeah, it's pretty advanced stuff. It's good. That was great. What is that? What's that gentleman's name? Hartman Borneman or something like that?
Harman Bortman, Harman Bortman, or
Borman, I'm
HVP.
not sure how to pronounce it. Yeah. But he's done a really fabulous job with that. The game script is really a game changer in a lot of ways.
It really is.
It works really well.
Is that a new script that you just go into, like, say, the forum?
If you want offhand, I'll show you how to download the repository for it. That's definitely something that I could actually give you the web address for it, and you can download that, and it actually makes it.
Yeah, you just download and install them.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very, for people who haven't seen, who are just getting into Pix Insight, in my opinion, this is a very basic, one-shot color script, or workflow, just so I can get started, because I'm not familiar with a lot of Pix Insight. I've just really started using it more in the past maybe 4 months. And it's just going off of what, Keller and Beaker were showing in Masters of Pix Insight, and just doing it that way. And then, your the things that you've shown, Shawn, and just adding on. So that's just basically been it. So
you'll always be developing your workflow continuously and adding to it and improving it. I find that even myself, processing an image, and I'll try and approach it from a different angle, a different way of processing it, and it might work great, might not. But if it works great, I'll try and remember it and save it, and include it in the workflow for the next image.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I don't know how many bookmarks from YouTube University that I have, just on different modules from your website, and from your videos and from other people's videos about these different modules to do.
I even, you know what? I'll let you in on a little secret. I even actually refer to my video sometimes because I don't remember how to do something, so I go back and watch my video.
Well, and that's been one of my problems, because it'll go months between imaging. So then I sit down and I start processing. I'm like, oh crap, how do I do this again? So then I got to go back into the bookmarks to find a couple of videos.
Yep, absolutely. That's funny.
I finally dug through my archive and found my first Astro image. It was
great.
So this is I want to say it's a 42 image panoramic with a Nikon. This was a.
That's your free. I was thinking that's your first one.
Yeah, well, I went and did a seminar with a guy here that was doing astrophotography workshops, basically. And he would meet up with like a group of 5 or 6 people and take them out into a Bortle 4 area in the Tonto National Forest. And he would explain, before sunset, he'd explain how to find the North Star and how to triangulate and find where you're looking at in the sky, using apps that didn't necessarily have to have internet but use GPS to kind of look at the star field around you. And then from there, we would get into imaging, and he would walk you through how to take the images, how long to expose for, how to do the calculations and things like that. So this was what I ended up coming up with. Let's see, and then I tried redoing it, and this was obviously having some issues with number 1, color, but number 2, a lot of gradations from the map when it did the composite. But this was a single frame vertical from that same.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, so, Jason, we hate you.
Oh yeah, we haven't said that tonight.
Yeah, it was about time. Took you guys long enough.
Yeah, we hate Jason is equivalent to, oh my God, they killed Kenny.
Jeez.
Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
If those are your first, man, that's killer, man. Because I'm almost like, you saw mine.
And again, that was DSLR. It was not stacked and tracked. That was just DSLR images that I was able to get on tripod, probably less than 8-10 seconds. because beyond about 8 seconds, you're going to start getting star movement. Even
Yeah.
at, that was probably 50 millimeter. At that point, I then upgraded into like 14 millimeter f2.8s. Started spending a ton of money on camera optics. That then grew into eventually getting into doing dedicated astro cameras and telescopes. So
Nice.
a lot of changes.
Yeah. So you would basically you started out traditionally, what I would say you started out more with Milky Way shots and then moved forward towards DSO.
Yeah, Milky Way was kind of one of those things where I could see it with the naked eye, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever, but I had no idea how to shoot it.
Sure.
And I was very intimidated because I have a master's in photography from the PP of A. I can take amazing portraiture. I can do great landscapes. Could not for the life of me figure out how to do the deep sky stuff and doing Milky Way. It was just intimidating. I didn't understand it. And this gentleman, because he had like 5 Nikon shooters that were going to be at this, and he's a Canon guy, he said, "You know what? I will give you my seminar for free if you'll come help get those guys going and get the settings and know where to go on their camera, and I'll get you kicked off." And we've been good friends ever since. I went and helped him in a couple of his other seminars, but that's where I kind of whet the appetite and like, oh, this is really fun, and then started doing more shoots with him. I was going to scroll back through and try to find, once I grew up a little bit and started taking stuff with foregrounds and things like that. Here's a good one. So this was a year later.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
And the cool one with this is I actually got to take my dad out. So we went out. Mark was with me. My buddy Steve was with me, and took my dad out there. It was the first time he came to visit me in Arizona. And he had been in the Navy. He had seen stars like this. He had seen the cloud of the Milky Way, but never had gotten to see it exposed through a camera. And this, because it was a fairly dark night, I was actually able to do like a close to 20-second exposure. So when he was able to see that develop in the back of the camera, and he was just mind blown. And then we got home and I did a stack of 8 images, 10 seconds each, what the note says here, with a 20 millimeter 1.8. And so he was just all excited. He's telling everybody at home, showed him the picture, sent him a unedited original file, and really whet his appetite that he got really excited about it. And he still to this day loves seeing the stuff that I come up with, even though, like you guys said, it's not necessarily what we feel is the best piece, but people around us that don't invest the time and haven't exercised in this arena, they're just blown away by it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. I'm looking for my first. Oh, here we go. Here's my first astro photo. I found this is from 2005. July 24th, 2005. I apparently took this photo. This is probably one of my first ones. This was done with a Canon XT. And let's see if I can find it real quick. This is definitely my first one. It was definitely close to that first night. And there you go.
That's
probably close to my first one.
If you're curious, no, that isn't the moon.
So I think this is what I was taking a picture of, but I mean, that's Vega.
Right.
So that was my first picture.
Wow.
Well, and I went from that to probably the most recent one that I did image, and it's now currently my background, is this one.
Yeah.
So this is the Veil Nebula. I posted
Sigma
quite a bit of
Suit,
this.
Yeah.
So, everybody gets that, but this was a cool one for me because this was one of the first ones that I did with the L Extreme. And being able to pull that in single shot on a OSC using the 2600 and the ASCAR FRA 400 with the reducer in it. single frame, 36 10-minute subs, which was another new one for me because I'd never done a 10-minute sub because I never trusted hardware to go beyond 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool taking a little bit of a leap there, and hey, it worked.
Yeah, it looks great. It's a great image. Yeah, nice.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
It is. Do you guys? I know Mark's got that RC. Shawn,
Yeah.
do you have any plans to get any type of other type of scopes or any gear, any type, new scope or anything like that in the future or anything like that? Or what are you thinking as far as anything like that?
I really like the Esprit 100 view on, so I'm going to be getting that in the next week or so, and I'll be hooking that up to I'll probably piggyback it on top of the Esprit and and do some imaging with it. So that'll be an interesting experience to work with the Raptor 61 and see how good it is. I mean, Trevor's gotten some great images so far with it. He's done some work obviously with it, and I'll be really happy to get mine and start taking some images. So I'll be changing scopes in that sense when that comes. But really, once you sort of find an all-around good scope, I think that you stick with it, and the only thing that really changes is the camera for the most part. You keep upgrading the camera to try and get better and better out of it. So I wouldn't mind. I keep hitting up QHY to send me a 600, but they haven't sent one to me yet. So I'll just keep bugging them.
Keep trying.
I keep throwing out. Yeah, I keep throwing out tweets and that to them. Hint, hint, sort of thing, and that. So I gotta see. Maybe I'll have to be more direct. Maybe I'll have to just phone them up and say, hey, when are you gonna send me one?
Say you can just call them out on your show. I'm sure that'll change their mind.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, this is the first step. I'm calling them out.
There you go. Yeah. QHY, send them a 600. Come on, man.
Send me a 600. Come on. No doubt, eh? What's the holdup?
Exactly.
It's on back order coming out of China.
Yeah, probably.
It looks like you're going to be getting a couple of extra students in the classes. There's a lot of traffic on that about Tyler and Mark talking about your class.
Do you have a website for that?
Me? Sorry, you're talking? Yeah. Visible. No, I thought we were talking with Eric. Eric's doing a master class. The VisibleDark.ca. If you go to VisibleDark.ca, it's linked off the homepage and that, so you can get the tutorial there, and it's an hour tutorial that I put together, and I paced it nicely. I like to think I didn't go too fast with a lot of things, and sort of showed you around PixInsight a bit and showed you how the certain steps to take in order to process a basic color image. And that's using real data that I took. I didn't supply all the data. It's only an hour's worth of data on M31, but it's enough that you get the idea of how to work with things and the steps that you can take to process an image, a basic image. Anyways, there's certainly a lot more you can do in PixInsight, more advanced skills that you can add, more advanced tools you can add to the image processing. So. But that'll get you off the ground, anyways. If you're new to PixInsight and not 100% familiar with it, or I've had people that were actually familiar with PixInsight, and they said that they learned some new things from it that they applied to their images, and they were really happy with the results that they got. So, yeah,
I know Dan.
Definitely check it out.
Done a couple of the beginners classes with Mr. Breacher. And
yes,
Dan says quite often, I go back in the beginner class because you always pull something out of it that you didn't get before.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. No matter what. That's why I purchased your class. I've done Masters of PixInsight. I've done this guy here. So I mean, there's so many tools out there. There's something called information overload. but
for sure.
Be careful about that. But it's always good when you're sitting there and you're dealing with anything, and to go back to the beginning. And sometimes it may just refresh your memory on something that you may have forgotten that you used to do. You said, oh, you know what? Let me go back to that. Or something that you just really never knew before that you like. All of a sudden, you got the aha moment, or the light bulb turns on your head, and you're like, oh my God, that's what that's for. So it's always good to go back and remember the beginning stuff that you may have like kind of glanced over and forgotten before. So
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
me,
Yeah.
haven't touched it in 4 months and completely forgot that you remembered it.
absolutely,
Alzheimer's great at 40.
I've forgotten more stuff than I learned. 40. Who's 40?
Wow, you're 40? Jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll be 40 in May.
I don't remember what was 40. 40 what?
My first digit's ready to change in a couple of months. So I don't know about 40s are gonna go bye soon. So
Yeah. But no, I mean, I was just looking at your website here really quick, Shawn, and yeah, for $12 to have the opportunity to learn that, off of your tutorials and like I said, Master Picks Insight, what they've done and everything. So yeah, you're absolutely right, guys. There's a lot of information out there, and don't be like me and just use for the first 6 months after you buy Picks Insight, the only thing you do is use it for Blink.
yeah, we still get Eric on that.
Yeah, we still rode him on that. At least when I used it, I used it to do all the curves and histogram and masking.
Spent like $300 for an image previewer.
Yeah, right. That was the cheapest Fitz viewer you could find.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, don't be like
There's a lot of people that do that, though. There's a lot of people that use Pix Insight just for some basic things, and then they switch over to Photoshop and do all the work there. So I use Photoshop. That's how I started when I first started doing astrophotography. I used Photoshop actually. Yeah. So and I was right into Photoshop, and I struggled with Pix Insight when I first was introduced to it by Ron. Actually, introduced me to Pix Insight, and it wasn't easy to wrap your head around. So it took a little bit, and I actually went back to Photoshop and continued using that. And then Ron kept saying, he kept talking about Pix Insight, how awesome it was and stuff. So I went back and tried it again, and started learning more about it. And he certainly was instrumental in helping me learn about Pix Insight and whatnot. So it turned out to be a really fabulous program, and it is designed for what we're doing, processing astronomical data. As opposed to Photoshop, which Photoshop is great. It's a fantastic piece of software. Don't get me wrong, I use it all the time, but it wasn't specifically designed to do what we're doing. So Pix Insight is a really nice tool to have in the arsenal.
I still use Photoshop for a little bit of the finish work, noise reduction, things like that. That's where I put my logos and stuff on. So even after I get everything done and I'm 99% happy with it, still do a little bit of last minute cleanup with Topaz denoise and a little bit of crop and cleanup, and then finally export with my logo on it for the Facebook.
Yeah. See, one of my biggest things is like for me when it comes to post processing, I am truly more of a visual and learn just by doing and watching other people do it instead of grabbing a book. I mean, I've got books, but to actually have the videos, to have somebody show me, and then I can then refer back to that video, from off of, if it's on YouTube or something like that. I'm more of a visual and just do it as I go and then say, oh, okay. And then, and then do it and then repeatedly, and just go through repetition. That's the way I learn. It's basically through repetition, not necessarily more just doing, a book. It's just by constantly doing it over and over again and just building up that routine.
Yep,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with you entirely. I'm a visual learner too, which is one of the reasons I started the YouTube channel was to, help other people, as I said. But having a visual learning reference like that is really helpful. I find I don't learn as well from reading a book and trying to apply it as I do from watching someone else do it and following their steps. So I
Yep.
can certainly relate to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like I said,
I agree with
I
that.
still got so much of your stuff. Like I said, Sean, a lot of your stuff, your modules that I've got, I just go by your settings, and it works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It works just fine.
Again, most of the books and stuff that I mean, I got like books all over the place about stuff that they're laying all over my house. My wife's ready to divorce me with all the books I got floating all over the place. But a lot, even with the books, I can't sit there and just read. I'm not sitting down and reading this. I'm not reading this. I'm using it as a reference. So if I want to kind of know something quick and I forgot where the video was, I'll sit there. Okay, you know what? Deconvolution. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Now I remember it, and then I'll put it away, and it'll sit on a table for a couple weeks until I figure out something else that I need it for. But it's all about how quick you get the information, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to get it, either through electronically, through video, or searching a PDF, or picking up a book, or calling your buddy. It doesn't really matter as long as you're able to access the information when you need it, and it's in a format that you could easily understand. It doesn't mean that I could easily understand. It's got to be easy. Everybody learns and understands things differently.
Yep.
So, you got to say, okay, some people need that book. Some people need that video. Some people need that phone call. It's just a matter of what happens to you as the artist, how you can find out how to get the best results that you want in a way that you could understand it and kind of retain that information too.
Yeah. Tyler just said, hey, just send me the books, man.
Tyler's still trying to. Tyler, wait for that eagle too. I'll get to that too. Give me a second. Tyler's been bugging me for an eagle for like 6 months now. He thinks somehow I got this magic tether to Primal Luce that I could just pull one out of the sky and I got my harpoon gun ready to shoot down an eagle for him.
Talking about all the training and stuff like that. So this was one of the ones that I spent a fair amount of time. Let me switch over to the screen and turn my mic back on. So this was one that I literally sat through 3 YouTube tutorials, and that was finally the image that I was happy with. And this was playing around with the 533 and trying to find better detail, because the stuff I'd been getting with my DSLR, I couldn't get this detail because it was an unmodded camera.
Right.
So the 533 being my first foray into dedicated Astro camera. Then I was like, okay, well now what the heck do I do with it? How do I get this image to look like what I see everybody else's image to be? And I forget whose video it was, but it was literally like a step-by-step. It was almost 20 minutes long. But by the time I was done with the two-thirds of the video, I had something fairly close to this. And I was happy enough with that. And so, it's having that ability and access that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. Not at the perpetuance that we do now. And, people like yourself pushing content and a lot of others. I don't feel I'm good enough to even try doing any of that. But, again, it's about growing, and I forgot 90% of what was in this video. I have to go back and watch it again, but that's where having like that Masters of Pix Insight book that Dan was just holding up as a PDF, I think is a great resource.
Good reference.
I spend a lot of time on my iPad and my iPhone, so I can bookmark things, and I want to find it. You can just search because it's a digital copy. I can take and find any keyword. So it makes being able to reference these things so much more efficient.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, this is a great time to be an astrophotographer and get into astronomy. Because you couldn't even imagine, not even 5 years ago, what we can do now.
Yeah.
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 And the availability of the hardware to get us there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Even in the 2-3 years that I've been dealing with Astro cameras and things like that, the major advancements in cameras has been insane.
Oh yeah,
great time to be
I'll
alive,
tell you what,
man. Doing this stuff.
5 years ago there was no ZWO. There were no big time CMOS camera dealers at that point, unless you were doing DSLR.
Yeah.
Well, and I honestly hope that coming out of this whole COVID thing, that maybe this spins up a lot more of the mom and pop camera and telescope shops, because the draw is so heavily focused that the demand just can't keep up with the supply can't keep up with the demand, but the ability to share this info is so much kind of guarded, because a lot of those companies have gone out of business or had to fold because of the way that things have transitioned the last 10 years. I don't know the specific shops, but I know there was like 15 Astro shops here in the greater, Phoenix and Tucson market. There's now 2.
Wow.
And they're both
That's
down in
quite a
Tucson.
significant drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the 2 down in Tucson are doing really well. One everybody knows, Starzona. The other one a little lesser known. Even I can't recall it at the moment. But the biggest downfall of their storefront, A, they don't have a huge web presence, and 2, they're open 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes it really freaking hard to get and spend time there.
That doesn't
Starzona
work.
is open 6 days a week, and they do not during COVID times, but they would do star parties in the parking lot. Bring your stuff down. You got questions? We'll walk you through it. We'll show you how to take and set it up. We'll show you how to use it.
Yep.
And then they do the online training classes and things like that. So they're making a presence that make them more valuable to the market. And that's how they're going to survive through a lot of this. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's the same thing in New York. I mean, in New York, the entire state of New York, including Long Island, as far as telescopes are concerned, there's Camera Concepts, and there's one other place called Burger Brothers, which nobody's ever heard of. And that's it. And then the biggest one nearest me is High Point, which is right over the bridge in New Jersey.
In Jersey,
Yeah. So that's the biggest one around by me. Other than that, I mean, then there's OPT out in California.
But,
but
is High Point a brick and mortar that you can go in, or are they an online only?
I think
they're online only.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
They're online only.
Same
Yeah,
for
they're online
OPT.
only. There's no storefront anymore. There used to be a storefront about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And as far as I know, they went to strictly like an OPT kind of warehouse.
Yep.
A while ago. So.
Yeah.
The
We
only
have a
one-
telescope store here that we can go into, brick and mortar, and then there's one in Toronto, which is an hour's drive away from here, and the other one is strictly online. So we got KW Telescope, which is here in Kitchener, Ontario, and that's brick and mortar. You can walk in and see the scopes and ask questions and whatnot. And then we got Con Scope Center, which is in Toronto. They're also a brick and mortar. You can walk in there and check out equipment. Ontario Telescope is also here, but they're strictly online and like OPT and High Point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about
High Point is only warehouse.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no storefront anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
and they're almost having to do that, not just because of COVID, but just cost.
No. They were way before COVID.
Yeah. I mean, the overhead is what was killing them. They weren't getting enough traffic. So,
Yeah.
and online selling has kind of become the new norm.
The new
Thanks
normal.
to-
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as far as storefront is concerned, the only 2 that I know of that's even semi-close is Orion. Orion's got a storefront still. And camera concepts, and that's it, as far as I know in the U.S. As far as I know.
Yeah, everything else is online because I know Agena.
Yeah.
Agina's online only now.
Agina's online.
The telescopes.net.
That's Orion is. Oh no, that's
Woodland Hills.
Woodland Hills out in California.
Yeah, Woodland Hills is actually brick and mortar.
Yeah. Okay. I remember seeing a picture of them, their store.
Yeah, that's where I bought my.
But they're becoming few and few. They're less and less. More, everything's online now.
Everything's online because heck, I even go to Adorama.
Yep.
Adorama, but they're more camera versus telescope. They do have a telescope, small telescope, selection, but they're more camera because I was even keeping an eye out on the Canon EOS RA.
Okay.
That looks like it's going to be kind of interesting. That looks like a nice looking scope.
My buddy Tyler that did the workshops. That's what he's shooting with now. He loves it.
Yeah, I've heard some really good things with the EOS RA. And it was so fun looking at reviews and people were complaining about it. I was like, "What do you got complaining about?" It's like, "It's not what I expected." It's like, it's right there. When you look at it, this is not intended for regular use. This is for astrophotography, just like the 60 DA or whatever it was.
60 DA. Nikon made the 810A.
Yeah, so there's certain ones that you just have to. Hey, this is not for regular terrestrial photography.
Do not shoot your barbecue with this camera.
Exactly. You will be disappointed.
So, man. Guys, it's almost time for me to go to bed, though, guys.
I was gonna say, I gotta try starting my imaging so I can get 4 hours in, or 6 hours in tonight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed and let the telescope continue. So
I didn't get it spun up. I was cooking dinner for the wife and family, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
My wife wasn't feeling too good today.
Here, so I haven't. So the Ross has been sitting in the garage, resting on my AVX because I don't. Right now, the AVX is sitting in the garage, and I only use the. And I've got it set up that now I'll just bring the Rasa into the garage, and I'll do all my calibration, my flats and everything right in the garage, and then I'll just take it right back down.
Nice.
So
that's nice.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, there's my new setups. So
nice.
That's
That's
the babies
great.
out playing in the backyard, getting prepped for first night shooting on Monday evening.
There you go.
Fantastic. Yeah.
That is. Yeah, eventually I'll get another scope, but right now I'm just loving the CEM 60. So but you go ahead and you enjoy your 70G. Just you have some fun there.
I will. Now that I finally got it, it only took me 3 months.
Hey,
it wasn't his fault though. It's availability. It came and it was exactly what I wanted. It's everything I could ask for.
So, all right. Well, hey, Shawn, it's been a blast.
Yeah.
Man. I really appreciate
you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. It was great. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Appreciate having you.
Absolutely.
It was fun swapping stories with you, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again in the near future.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sounds good, guys. All right.
That'll be great.
Right.
So, I'm going to go to your website probably. I'm not going to do it tonight, but tomorrow I'm going to spend the $12, man.
I want my $2.
I want my $2. Well, thank you. Thank you, Shawn. It's been awesome, man.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Okay. All right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Shawn. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
Okay. We'll see you.
All right. All right.
Close this out, Dan.
Yeah. So, well, what time? Oh, it's 11:30. Jeez, I'm spacing out. I'm sorry. Nice guys for joining us tonight with Shawn Neilsen from VisibleDark.ca, and definitely go check out his website at VisibleDark.ca and get that $12 tutorial on Beginner's Pix Insights. Really, really useful, especially if you're just getting your feet wet and you want to learn how to get a basic image out of some data that you've shot. So it's really, really, really a good place to start. So that being said, it's 11:28 and it's time for me to pass out. So you guys got anything to say before I close this thing out? Or
no, man, it's all you.
Eric, you look tired too, man.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
I'm an hour behind you, man. So yeah, I'm ready to hit the sack myself.
Well, the person that's not tired.
I don't have any imaging to do like Jason. You know, I'm stuck with cloud, so I'm gonna go to get some sleep.
Well, see, the thing is,
maybe I should.
It's going to take me 20 minutes to get all spun up.
That's okay. Jason, I'll keep you on here for the next 3 hours. Don't worry about it.
Well, that's the nice thing. I'm the host. I can just disconnect everything and off I go. Thanks. Good night.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night. Have a good week. Stay safe. All everybody out there, be on the, wear your mask and just be safe, especially with the holiday season coming up. With Thanksgiving and all that. So just again, just remember, as always, to keep imaging, keep educating, and keep having fun. And we'll see you next week on AstroWorld TV. Clear skies.
Clear skies, everyone.
Clear skies, everybody.